All right, guys, we're going to talk about renter's insurance in this video. Now, most of us are familiar with homeowner's insurance. Most people have it. If you have a mortgage, you're pretty much required to have it. But for renters, you don't necessarily need to protect your property, but you do need to protect your possessions. You do have things that are valuable. And so renter's insurance can protect against loss of property and also liability. It happens in the property that you rent or lease. It protects against risks such as theft, flooding, fire, etc. So typical renter has roughly $20,000 worth of possessions, according to USAA, which they do renter's insurance. And so if you want to protect those items. I had a client that had a very nice bike stolen from outside of her apartment. She had renter's insurance and they covered the claim. Okay. So I also had neighbors one time that they had a flood in they kind of were in a basement apartment. They had a flood. It ruined some of the property, right? Which the apartment complex would take care of itself. But they lost some furniture and things like that. And they were able to get those replaced completely because they had renter's insurance coverage. Okay. So these things are things that happen, and it's nice to have coverage in those types of events. So what you want to do is you want to keep an inventory of your items and approximate value and get the appropriate coverage for your possessions. Commonly 20,000, you get up to 35,000. Renter's insurance, fortunately, is really typically not that expensive. You can add it for a few dollars a month. Sometimes you can bundle it with your auto insurance, or you can just go out and get your own standalone policy. But coverage is fairly inexpensive, all things considered. So it can be pretty nice. You also want to get liability coverage in there. Usually there's a component in there. You probably want to get up to 100,000. This would be if maybe somebody's over and they get hurt, they fall, they slip, and they have, medical bills or problems. They might even sue you. Some of that will be covered by the apartment complex. They might have some coverage for that type of thing, but it's good to have some coverage as a renter to make sure that while people are in your property that you are renting, that you're covered. Okay. The risk there, probability of it happening, probably pretty low, but if it did happen, it could be a bad news. So that covers liability coverage there. Now I just want to talk about how the insurance company pays out. Sometimes they will pay out based on the replacement cost. Other times they will pay out based on the cash value. So in the case of the couches, right? The couch that was in that one apartment where there was a flood, the couch got ruined. If there was replacement cost, insurance would pay for the replacement of that item. So you could go out and get a brand new couch. That's the cost of replacement. You have to go out and buy a brand new couch. You're not going to go buy a used couch, right? So you go out and buy a brand new cost. That is replacement cost, whatever it costs to replace the item. Or they might cover based on the cash value of the item. So the used couch has lost some value. Maybe when it was new, it was $1,000 and now it's $500. They might give you the cash value of that item to give you the $500, and then you have to go out and replace the couch and maybe pay a little bit extra to replace it. Okay, so just two subtle types of coverage there for that. So that pretty much covers renter's insurance. It's easy to get, easy to qualify for, and pretty basic. Important to have if you do rent. All right, that wraps up this video. See you guys in the next.
Protect what matters so your future stays on track.